Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Fantasy Pros Week 1 live stream right here on the YouTube. I am Chris Welsh. That is Tara. It's Tara time. I love that Twitter handle because mine is it the Welsh. So we got the it's going on here. And today we're going to be answering all your fantasy questions. So drop them in the chat. Don't stop. We're going a full hour. We've got all your stuff. And guess what? We're also going to be doing this on Sundays, Tara and myself, at 11 a.m. Eastern. You actually got 2 hours of stream starting at 10 a.m. right here on Fantasy Pros. Then you can slide on over to Betting Pros if you want for a little bit of betting action. So we're getting you right up until game time. So make sure you do that. And make sure that you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And when you make a comment, like you're asking one of these questions, you can get entered in to win awesome stuff. We had an Odell Beckham jersey contest. And guess what? We have got a winner courtesy of bettingpros.com. And the winner is Dakota Hayes. So you just got to get in touch with customer support agents at mailbag@fantasypros.com with your mailing address and proof of your subscription to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. And we're going to get you that jersey shipped out. Again, the winner is Dakota Hayes. Congratulations. That could be you. All you got to do, like, subscribe, make a comment. We'll get you awesome stuff. Tara, what is up, my friend? We got a ton of fantasy questions in the old hopper here, and we're going to be getting to them.
I'm doing good. I'm not digging the Travis Kelce situation. We've got a lot of unexpected stuff that's popping up. So I'm sure maybe we're going to get a lot of tight end questions in case people have to start streaming tight ends in week 1. Crazy, but here we go.
Yeah, well, actually, to it, let's get through a couple bit of news and notes here. If you haven't heard the Travis Kelce situation, he was limited in Tuesday's practice because he hyperextended his knee, and that has left us in a complete we don't know situation. And that is, and really, you're just going to have to react on Thursday. As far as somebody, do you have a player or two at the top of your mind that you might look to try to stream outside that top 12? If you're looking at the consensus, well, actually, we'll go to the week 1 ranks, which you guys can check out. If you go over to fantasypros.com, you can check out not only draft, if you still have some drafts ahead, but you got week 1 ranks. Number 12 is Okonkwo as far as half PPR tight ends go. So you're looking at guys like Dalton Schultz, Cole Kmet, Juwan Johnson, Laporta, anybody you would attempt to try to pivot to if someone knows they need to kind of replace Kelce?
Juwan Johnson is the one that I feel safest with. And I love the matchup with Tennessee. So, I mean, that one's the one where if I have to pivot, that I can actually feel comfortable with. There's a few others, but that's the one that I'm kind of honing in on.
An interesting thing will be, too, I kind of want to go with Sam Laporta, but we also have that news out here about Jahmyr Gibbs. And first off, them telling us that we're not ready for how he's going to be used. And then Lions.com announcing today that he's going to be used in a primary pass catching role. So Sam Laporta might be an option, but I really actually wanted to get your take on Gibbs here for a second on what the expectations are. So much so, I just want to point out that he had a 3.5 receiving prop going into Thursday. The books took it off for a bit. Then they boosted the odds back up, and they've just gone all over the board here as well. By the way, all the Chiefs have come off here. Just any thoughts on Jahmyr Gibbs and all the news surrounding him?
I mean, at this point, you do kind of have to feel a little bit comfortable starting him. Even without that news, you knew that he was going to be probably in at least the top 3 pass catchers in a game against Kansas City, in a game that we know is going to be high scoring. So if you were going to lean towards taking that risk and starting him in a week 1, it's not the worst thing to do. So yeah, it's interesting. I have no problem with getting Gibbs as, definitely an RB2. He's creeping up right towards that RB1 territory. It sounds like it's going to be a good situation for him.
Yeah, full PPR. I'm kind of stoked. From a DFS perspective, want to get Gibbs in there, but also there's always the potential like crazy hype that floats out there. You might be able to get some inherent value. Another tight end thing, just want to point out the 49ers, my team, in a little bit of a disarray right now. They are trending in the direction of potentially going into this week without not only Nick Bosa because of the contract issues, but George Kittle. It looks really dicey on the George Kittle situation. So again, this is going from, if you want to look at those week 1 ranks, where currently, without any of the major adjustments, Kelce was given the second week 1 ranks as people are going to adjust and figure out what's going on. Kittle was 6. Those both probably going to fly down, and that would bring up, at least according to the week 1 ranks, they'd bring up Schultz and Kmet. We talked about Juwan Johnson. We talked about Laporta, maybe Kincaid, another one of those options. So I don't know if do you have any strong feelings on Kittle, especially if you needed to start making moves. Now, like Laporta, you would have to get in a lineup before Sunday. Do you expect Kittle to play or not?
I get a little bit concerned. He was dealing with an injury. This is not, not brand new. He's been dealing with injuries, and this is something that we've come to expect with him. It wouldn't be new territory for us to start off the season without George Kittle, which is, a big reason why he was someone that was, unfortunately on my fade list. If anyone's still drafting, he's definitely on my fade list in terms of tight ends, just because the ADP is outrageous for where you're having to draft him, according to the risk and the actual floor that he has. But I would be prepared. Again, you don't have to do anything right away, but be prepared to have to pivot. And there's other guys. We talked about Juwan Johnson, but there are other ones if worse comes to worse and you have to take those kinds of stabs that have good matchups, or at the very least are trending towards being the definitive tight end one in their offense. A guy like Jake Ferguson is not flashy, but at least at this point, he's a tight end one of his offense. If you don't want to take the risk on someone like Greg Dulcich, who has the better matchup, yes, but is a little bit riskier in terms of the usage for him, since we, have Adam Troutman kind of creeping in there with Sean Payton. So it's a sticky situation, but there are low end guys to where I don't think you have to panic as much with Kittle if you've already got him rostered, and you might have to pivot.
Tara's reading my mind, by the way. I was literally looking at Ferguson. I was like, ooh, I'm going to say Ferguson. And then here, bam, just nailed that. So yeah, I completely agree. If you have Kelsey, or if you had Kittle, you probably needed to make the little bit more difficult choice of having a backup tight end, especially early on. And luckily there's enough good matchups out there. Ferguson, definitely one of those. Luke Musgrave, even though the matchup rating on Fantasy Pros isn't stellar, I think he could get a lot of targets this week. So that's something to look out for. And then finally, Rams Cooper Kupp seeing a specialist for the hamstring injury. This is leaning towards us not seeing him. So that is my expectation. I have him rostered in a lot of places. I got multiple industry drafts that I have going on, and I'm having to put in replacements. And we might talk about some of those guys here. You're probably not looking for those replacements from the Rams, but you know what? Van Jefferson might be kind of a sneaky option to take a look at. All right, questions. We've got a bunch of them. I do want to remind you guys, we are going to be live streaming 11 a.m. Tara and I every Sunday morning, answering all your questions, to make sure you're there. That's early for me. So I just want to point out, I'm going to be cranky. It's like 8 a.m. my time. So if like George Kittle is going to be inactive, I'm going to be extra cranky. So don't come in with your question. If you drafted Josh Allen in the third round, and then you drafted a backup in Geno Smith, and you come in week one being like, well, should I start Geno Smith because he's got a good... I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell John to ban you for 15 minutes. That's the rule. Don't come at me, especially if you invested in early quarterback. I don't want to hear it. All right, we've got some questions in here. Yeah, John gave me thumbs up. He agrees with me. All right, so first question, Tara, I'm going to throw it to you. Christopher killing it. Half PPR, Zay Flowers or Skyy Moore? I don't know if this is draft-based or week one, but I don't know if it matters. What say you, Skyy Moore or Zay Flowers? Half PPR.
If it's draft based, it's Zay Flowers that I have before Skyy Moore. If it is first week start sit, it would have been Zay Flowers, and now I'm kind of looking at this with the Travis Kelce news, like we might have to go that direction of Skyy Moore, being the guy that I would want to play. So if Travis Kelce plays and he's in there, I still lean towards Zay Flowers. But if we get that news on Thursday and you want to go ahead and plug in Skyy Moore, I would be, more than willing to do that. He's a guy who's a low end flex option, but when you take away Travis Kelce, and you look at the rest of the receivers in that offense, and Kadarius Toney, who's apparently going to play, but how much can we really trust that? And Marquez Valdes-Scantling as well. Skyy Moore kind of profiles as the guy that I trust more to obviously not step into a Travis Kelce role, but to kind of be more of a target hog over the middle. So if Travis Kelce is out, I kind of lean that direction with Skyy Moore.
Yeah. If it's draft or week one, it's Skyy Moore for me. It doesn't matter either way. I'm a Skyy Moore stan. You take Kelce out of this game, I think that's a game changer. That's why his prop is off the books right now. They are going to wait up until they know what's going on with Kelce, because it was minus 110, 3.5 receptions. It's going to go up. It'll probably be 4.5 juiced, just throwing it out. This is not a betting pros thing, but it'll probably be up there if it pops back out. It's Skyy Moore though, because Tony is going to be on that snap count, which we don't even know what that looks like. Skyy Moore is going to be the guy playing around the middle. They're obviously going to play. You're going to play Watson and MVS on the sides. And if Mahomes doesn't have his middle option in Kelce, that is going to live into Skyy Moore. So I'm very much Skyy Moore. It's a great question, but either one, that's what direction it is. G Unit, Dalvin Cook, Brandon Cooks, or Khalil Herbert in the flex spot. Thank you. I'm guessing this is obviously a week one question. So Cooks, Cook, or Herbert?
I lean towards Herbert, but it's slightly there. Hopefully over the next several days we get more information on the split between Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall. I assume that it's going to lean in the favor of Dalvin Cook early on, especially in week one. We'll get a little bit of Breece Hall, but I wouldn't expect anything very aggressive. But again, I don't particularly love the matchup. So again, I kind of lean towards Khalil Herbert as the guy that I would go with in this option.
Yeah, and Roshan Johnson was kind of the biggest scare to what was going on with Khalil Herbert for people if you lived in that world. And the rookie running backs, if they're going to have a point where they're going to start to ruin other backs, it's less likely to be early on in the season. I think we're going to get Khalil Herbert is my option, by the way, easily in this one. And I think this is a perfect time for it. I want to see the week one consensus ranks for week one have Herbert at 27 at RB. So that's probably a 5 RB move based on draft value. Dalvin Cook, we don't know anything about. Brandon Cook's probably a fine option, especially if you were playing more full PPR, but I just don't know what that overall workload is going to be. So I agree with you. I'm Khalil Herbert. Sean asks, full PPR start 2 this week. Sanders, which I'm going to guess is Miles Sanders. Breece Hall, I'm going to guess. Sutton or Rachaad White. So 2 of those full PPR, Miles Sanders, Breece Hall, Sutton, or Rachaad White.
Oh, this is such an interesting question. Right off the bat, I nix Breece Hall. After that, it becomes a little bit easier, but then it comes murky because we don't 100% know either way on Jerry Jeudy. It doesn't really sound like he's leaning towards playing, but we don't have that confirmation yet. I mean, recent hamstring injury, they didn't put him on the PUP, which is fantastic, but it's tough to kind of trust it week one, which does boost up Sutton in a beautiful matchup against Las Vegas. But I kind of still lean towards the safety of Sanders and then the volume of Rachaad White.
Pisa Pio would be like, oh, well, you're being old hat again, because I'm like a running back guy first. And if you're going to give me 2 primary backs, especially 2 that can catch, I know the Miles Sanders stuff is out there, but that team has said they want to get him the ball more. They also don't have a lot of great options. So they're throwing out of the backfield. They want to put trust. How do you put trust? You do it early on in the year. Rachaad White, it's the same thing. One of the better receiving backs in a team, obviously not without Tom Brady, but the structure of the team kind of lived around throwing the ball to the running back. So I think Sutton's fine. I think if you were to consider Sutton versus these guys, or you take a tier down of like who Marvin Mims is versus that crew of type of running backs and wide receivers, like Marvin Mims, I think has a better shot to ball out this week. But Rachaad White and Sanders are like top 20 RBs for at least for me. And we have Sanders coming in at, this is week 117 on Fantasy Pros, and Rachaad White at 20. So there you go. Both top 20 RBs. I'm going to go with the RBs as well. That one's pretty easy. SS says need 3 full PPR flex. You got Skyy Moore, Drake London, Mike Evans, Deontay Johnson, James Cook, and Alexander Madison. So again, Skyy, London, Evans, Johnson, and then the 2 running backs are Cook and Madison. So what do you think, Tara?
Again, we got the Skyy Moore, 3. So we got the Skyy Moore debate in terms of Travis. I kind of even with the possibility of Travis Kelce being out, or maybe even just a little bit limited, I still kind of lean towards Skyy Moore as being someone that I do want to start. Drake London as well, love him. And then looking at these final guys, the problem, I love Deontay Johnson. The problem I have with Deontay Johnson right here is I just don't like the matchup. I would lean towards maybe going with Alexander Madison instead this week. James Cook, another matchup issue as well.
Oh, man, this is what kills me. The reason I like Deontay Johnson is because the 49ers secondary is perpetually trash. And this is my team, by the way. The corners are always a problem. But here's the thing, though. If Deontay is going to at all come around the middle, this is the best cover linebacker in the entire league, and Fred Warner, that's going to be able to hover around the middle. So actually Pickens is like a really good shot here. I think these are all really good options, full PPR. Man, I'm looking at like Evans and Madison, and then I'm really struggling with Skyy Moore versus London. I'm going to end up going Mike Evans, Skyy Moore, and Madison. Ooh, that one is rough. Those are a bunch. What were your 3 again?
Mine were Skyy Moore, London, and Madison. But I think you could probably persuade me on Mike Evans. Maybe
Roll the dice. I would say roll the dice at this
Yeah.
point with those guys. Godwin definitely is going to probably get a whole bunch of carries in
Yeah.
short line stuff. It's going to be how well are they going to be able to move the ball deep, and that's where Mike, especially in like the red zone, Mike Evans will play. But that's a really, really tough one. SS. Fabian asks, who should I start in half PPR, Marvin Mims or Zach Charbonnet?
Honestly, I would go ahead and start Marvin Mims. I know it feels weird to start a technically third wide receiver option rookie. But again, this comes down to Jerry Jeudy. I don't feel very confident that he's going to play, or at the very least be a big contributor in week one, even if he is active. Marvin Mims is somebody who I really genuinely feel like can step up within that offense given the opportunity. And if he gets that opportunity, he could shine. I can easily see him outscoring Cortland Sutton as well. Love the matchup again. Zach Charbonnet. The problem is that it's looking like this is going to lean more towards the way that it was last season with Rashad Penny and Kenneth Walker. And for right now, Kenneth Walker is in line to be the starting running back until he loses said job. So for right now, I'd probably lean away from putting Zach Charbonnet in your lineup, and I would lean towards Marvin Mims.
Rookie running backs early on, I've already said it's not my thing. We don't know what the usage is going to look like. I think a lot of these things can be overplayed. I'm not trying to play Tank Bigsby, Zach Charbonnet, even A-Chain at this point. I'm not trying to put my hopes on a lot of these rookie RBs because this is what's going to happen. Not all of you, the really smart ones that you guys are in the chat, but there's going to be some others that are going to be like, Zach Charbonnet didn't get carries. I should cut him. Or should I trade him? And it's like, no, you don't draft those guys to cut them after week one or week two of lack of production. You have to go in knowing that you're probably not going to get the production early on. So don't cut bait immediately. And that's why I'm not into those rookie. Marvin Mims already said he's probably going to be wide receiver 2 in this matchup. So I'm very, very much on that one. We've only got like a day or two left. So if you've got any drafts, I actually have a draft coming up a little bit later tonight. You might have one tomorrow. So I know you've got to be ready, but what's the best way to get those bragging rights and be ready? Well, the mock draft lobby over at fantasypros.com/draftwizard. Our multi-user drafts allow you to practice quick and fun mock drafts against both real and CPU opponents using the same easy-to-use interface as our draft simulator. So if you've got a draft in a couple hours, you can get a whole bunch in. Public mock drafts, they're available, and you can easily invite your friends to a private mock draft. Maybe you want to do that with your league if with a day or two to go. So now's the perfect time to start getting in some of those mocks and fine-tuning that strategy or finalizing that strategy. Head over to the mock draft lobby today over at fantasypros.com/draftwizard. Again, fantasypros.com/draftwizard. Barry. Hi, guys. Love the show. Tight end question. Of course it is. Dalton, Terry, you called it. We're going to get the tight end questions coming in. Schultz or Laporta, full PPR this week. And you got to make the decision on Thursday. So which side are you going to sit on?
I'm still leaning towards Schultz. I know it's not the flashy option, but it's the stable option. We talked about Laporta earlier, and what he could potentially be is, possibly the second or third option in this offense with, from a pass catching perspective, with Jameson Williams suspended. But again, we've heard the news of Gibbs and being utilized in a primary passing role. So it's a little bit riskier option with Laporta. I could go with the stability for Dalton Schultz.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It's again kind of the like, don't know what's going on. I suppose if you're in this situation, you might be a little bit more desperate if you are deciding between Schultz and Laporta. I don't think taking the shot on Laporta is awful, but there's that little part of me that, I don't know, I don't want to go in on Thursday and have the rest of the week ahead of me, and Laporta's not really involved in the offense. I mean, we're also hearing that Gibbs is going to be a lot more involved in the receiving side of the offense, and Josh Reynolds might be someone that surprises. So I think I'd probably lean Schultz on a boring side. But this might be one of those situations where I would rather go pick up Juwan Johnson if he's sitting out there on the wire than Dalton Schultz. If you went late tight end, and especially if you have those two, you could probably just stream tight ends, especially if those guys are available. Don't be afraid to stream tight ends in that spot. Lil Benny says, love the show. Keep dropping the content, please. My question is, trade Aiyuk for Jahan Dotson. Little Benny says, I have I have Godwin, I've got Aiyuk, Williamson on suspension. I think he means Jameson Williams on suspension. So essentially Aiyuk for Dotson.
I love Dotson, so by no means is this anti-Dotson because I'm all in, but I would still stick with Aiyuk, unfortunately. Just the stability is offense first of all, and then the stability. So I would stick that direction.
Yeah, and as a 49er fan who watches a lot of the games, Aiyuk is like a phenomenal route runner, and him and Kittle can kind of play some mirrored roles sometimes where, Kittle's going to kind of come across the middle. Aiyuk is going to run those out routes, and he's usually going to get open. And usually the same side of the field can kind of be occupied. Well, if Kittle's going to be missing time, Aiyuk is a safety net. I don't know how much the 49ers are going to change this, but, we saw Deebo Samuel had the lowest ADOT in the league, but he also had the highest yak in the league, yards after the catch. So if they're going to play that game again, where it's going to be, short outs to Deebo and let him try to make things happen, the guy that's going to move the ball downfield is going to be Aiyuk, and they just trust in him being able to move the ball. So in 3rd and longs, Aiyuk is going to be the guy, especially with Kittle out. I think it's close enough, and there's been no like wide receiver that has had more hype as far as a guy that could be a number 1 than Jahan Dotson. So I agree with what Tara said, but I would hold on to Aiyuk in this situation. And hopefully Jameson Williams comes back normal. Herbert says, should I drop Gabe Davis for Jahan Dotson in flex? That is a yes. That is a yes. And I will speak for Tara, right? That's a yes.
Yes.
Yes. And that's in the flex. Yeah. Oh, maybe he said, should I drop Gabe Davis for Jahan Dotson and then he went period in my flex? I don't know. Either way, do Jahan Dotson, whatever it takes for you to have Jahan Dotson. Herbert, yes. Do that. Zail says, would y'all trade Terry McLaurin and Aaron Jones? Ooh, this is a tough one. I read this one before we started. Terry McLaurin and Aaron Jones to get Bijan, Tara.
So that's a lot, but to get Bijan, you have to pay a lot. So if you really want him, if you can afford to lose Terry McLaurin, because ultimately when I look at Terry McLaurin this year, and the turf toe thing, even if he plays week 1 or week 2, I mean, it's not uncommon for turf toe to affect you throughout a large portion of the season, which, really boosts up Jahan Dotson for me. So it's a lot, but I don't particularly mind doing it. If you really need to have a solidified top 5 running back and you want to be strong in that area, I'm okay with doing that, because while Aaron Jones is a locked in low end RB1 for me, he does not have high end RB1 upside unless something were to happen to AJ Dillon.
This one's tough because I love McLaurin coming into the year before the injury, and I love Aaron Jones this year. Just so that Packers offense, I feel like there's going to be more need to trust into Aaron Jones playing out of the backfield, catching. Obviously, they're going to lean on him rushing. We'll see what happens with AJ Dillon. To your point, though, like how far is that upside with Aaron Jones when AJ Dillon is there? So when I look at this question, if this is a 10-team league, I think I do this because I side on give me the best players in 10-team leagues or whatever. I see some of you guys play like 8. If I'm in something like that and I can have easy replacement value, yeah, I think this is a great trade. But Tara said it right. Like if you were to trade, you could easily trade Aaron Jones for Bijan, but if you're getting rid of McLaurin, what does that mean for your lineup? Like, are you going from McLaurin down to Gabe Davis? Are you going McLaurin down to Marvin Mims? I mean, some of those might seem okay, but are you going from McLaurin down to like, let's throw out, I'm looking at some week 1 wide receivers just to give better context here. Skyy Moore, Zay Flowers. If you're going to a Skyy Moore, Zay Flowers, I feel a little bit more confident at George Pickens. But if you're going down to Odell Beckham or Bateman or, Marvin Mims, I don't know. I don't think I would do that in deeper league teams, but I do want the best guy. So if I think I can make it work and there's enough available talent out there, I'm probably doing it. Richard says, half PPR, 1 quarterback, start Anthony Richardson versus Jacksonville or Danny Dollars, get that right, versus Dallas, Tara. So Danny Dollars versus Anthony Richardson.
I'm still going with Danny Dimes. It's this one is a tough one, and it's driving me crazy because I want to push Anthony Richardson up in my rankings, but I can't find the justification for taking that risk in his first ever start. The problem is it's a good matchup. Jacksonville's defense is absolutely dreadful, so if you have to take that risk, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's a very high upside play considering the matchup, but Danny Dimes is just the one that I would prefer to go with.
Yeah, I'm fine with Danny Dimes. The only thing that is a little bit interesting about Richardson and that game is I think Jacksonville could score a lot of points too. Like I think they're going to come in, and that's one of my favorite plays of the week, regardless of them being on the road, is Jacksonville, even especially if you can a little money line parlay with them and someone else like I did. Or, if you want to play the line at 5, I think that's still something you can do. But, if that team does get up, Anthony Richardson's got a good opportunity to get a lot of garbage yards and garbage points, but it's risky on a rookie quarterback. So I would probably lean on Danny Dimes. Neither one of these are great, but I will say they both were given 9+ ratings as far as matchups go over on Fantasy Pros Week 1 ranking. So if you want to put that into it, maybe you want to go with the upside of Richardson or the safety of Danny Dimes, whichever one feels a little bit better to you. Let's see. Alfredo says, should I trade Hopkins? Should you trade DeAndre Hopkins? No. Maybe. I don't know. What do you get? You gotta give me a little bit more here, Alfredo. I'm not looking to trade I was about to say I'll trade Alfredo. I'm not looking to trade Hopkins unless it's Dynasty, right, Tara?
Right. Exactly. Okay. No need.
Yeah, okay. So a little bit more Alfredo next time. JS says half-point PPR start Brian Robinson or aforementioned Skyy Moore, who's the star of our show today. So what do you think, Brian Robinson or Skyy Moore?
We love Skyy Moore, but we're sorry, Brian. My mind was Bijan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, Bijan. I mean, this is Skyy Moore for me here, but yeah, it's not Bijan here. It's Brian.
I'm gonna do that all season because it's all the same letters but one. So forgive me, it's Skyy Moore.
Okay, yeah, we're definitely on Skyy Moore here. Dan says, I've got Higbee as my starter at tight end. Should I risk Dalton Schultz? I'm going to answer this to start. Absolutely not. If Cooper Kupp is not there, Tyler Higbee is going to get double-digit targets this weekend. He's going to get double-digit targets. He might catch 10 balls. No, especially if you are in a PPR, half PPR, full PPR, half PPR setup. Like Higbee's going to get massive amounts of targets. Now, will he do cool stuff with it? I don't know, hopefully, but I imagine the targets are not even close here. We don't know what Dalton Kincaid's full role is going to be in a full-on game. We know he's going to probably play some slot wide receiver, and maybe touchdowns are going to be part of the option, but I'm Higbee just by worlds here. I don't know about you, Tara, if you feel any different about Kincaid versus Higbee, but I think Higbee's an easy top 10, and he is top 10 in the week 1 ranks according to Fantasy Pros. I might have him, to be honest with you, at 8 or 9 once I haven't submitted mine, so that's going to change it once I submit mine. But what say you?
Yeah, no, I am 100% on your side on this one. Definitely a top 10 for me. For sure. It's without a doubt.
Kincaid's not a 19 on the week 1 ranks currently, so I'm not going to help it when I post it either. So Brian says, should I trade Kittle in Dynasty? So that's I would say the blanket answer is probably yes, because it's an off injured, getting older tight end. It's still a great offense and he's still a great tight end, but it probably matters like what you're going to get. Like, okay, let me present one to you. We talked about this guy earlier. Would you trade Kittle to get Jahan Dotson in Dynasty?
Yeah, I would do that.
So I think that's probably, would you trade Kittle to get Skyy Moore?
That's where things start to get interesting. But I would. The value and the potential upside that you're getting with Skyy Moore, if everything pulls together. I know that first year kind of threw everybody off. But again, remember, it's Andy Reid's system. You take some time. So yeah, I would do that. I feel like Kittle's production can be replaced, and taking a high upside swing on a wide receiver is worth it.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on there. Friends, I don't know if you know, but we partner with the FFPC to bring you guys the Fantasy Pros Championship. It's a $350 entry season-long fantasy football contest with $6 million in total prizes, including $1 million to first place. Drafts are open now. They have been. Sign up over at www.fantasypros.com/championship and use promo code FANTASYPROS for $25 off your entry. Go and do that today. Money, my friends. All right, more questions. Jason says, Akers or Mostert in PPR? Let's assume this is a full-on week 1 question. I think this is fascinating because of the usage we might see out of Mostert this week. So what do you think, Tara?
Yeah, this is spicy, especially if the offense for the Rams might falter a little bit if Cooper Kupp is not there. I mean, things might get a little bit shaky. You could say that they'll rely on the run, but how effective will Akers be if that is all that they can do, and the defense can shut it down. I might take that risk on Mostert. He's the clear RB1 there now. A-Chain is still recovering from his injury, and although he'll more than likely be active and ready to go, I wouldn't see him being rolled out that much. So I can lean towards Mostert on this one.
I wouldn't hate the Mostert one. I'm going to say Akers in this situation, just simply because I think he is the primary. Now I say all this, and like Kyren Williams is going to get like just, targeted like 8 times out of the backfield, and carries are going to get taken away. But I just think this offense is just kind of depleted, and they're going to do well with getting the ball in Akers' hand as much as possible. But again, like Mostert is a RB2 this week. He's ranked 20th on the week 1 ranks currently. And though there are still plenty of people that need to submit their ranks and will throughout the week. So that's why you want to, go and monitor the Fantasy Pros ranks week 1, really up until Sunday. But by Thursday or Friday, things kind of stabilize. I don't think anything's going to change because Mostert is going to get volume, and that's nice. But I'm going to lean on the side of Akers on this one. But it's pretty razor thin, and I wouldn't hate if you did it either way. Jesus says trade Mixon and Bigsby to get Ken Walker and JSN. So we've got a running back for running back wide receiver trade. What do you think?
I could do that. It's tough to get rid of Mixon because he is a locked in RB1. But I do have concerns around Mixon and the efficiency he had, and the fact that we are hearing those rumors that Chris Evans could not take away his work, but if he gets in there on that third down and takes some of that third down reception work, that was really the bread and butter that carried Mixon, and why I have a lot of concerns, had a lot of concerns around Mixon during draft season. So yeah, I could do that. You get Walker as another RB1, a little bit lower down, and then the upside of JSN is a potential breakout rookie receiver.
This one is tough for me because I don't believe that it's not actually that tough. I have an easy answer, but it's I don't believe that Bigsby is going to just be the guy and make Travis Etienne completely irrelevant. Yeah. I also don't believe that Charbonnet is going to make Ken Walker irrelevant. The thing that's going to make Ken Walker not be great is his injury history. And that's going to thing that's going to take him off here. So by that standard, I think JSN can be phenomenal this year. I would also side though that I think you got to be careful, because if he doesn't produce at the level that you're wanting and you start getting antsy and freaking out, don't. JSN is going to be fine. I think he can be a real big second half player. So I can view Ken Walker in the same general vicinity as Mixon, and I think JSN is exponentially more valuable than Bigsby. So what you lose in Mixon to Walker, you gain in JSN. So I would make that trade. El Tomo Loco says, I stash Kyler Murray. Do we think he's coming back, Tara?
Yes, I'm oddly passionate about this one because,
really,
because it's funny with Kyler Murray. I feel like sometimes people are almost willing it, like they want him to sit for the sake of the drama that it would create. Arizona tanking, getting the number 1 pick, drafted Caleb Williams, trade Kyler Murray, all of that. But all signs are indicating, from what we've seen and heard, they do plan to play Kyler Murray at some point during this season, probably mid-season. So you're going to be stashing for a while. That's the only downside to that. But yeah, I do think that Kyler Murray will play this season. So stash for now if you've got the room.
I live in Arizona, so I'm kind of I want the chaos for Arizona. I want them to not play. I want them to have the first pick, get Caleb Williams and all the chaos. There's a lot of hatred though for him out here. And the things that seem to be lining up do kind of speak to him being able to play. I don't think though that he's going to play when he comes off a pup or when he's eligible off the pup. That I don't think. I think this is going to be something.
I agree with that.
In a short term back into the year, get him some games, build up some trade value. Don't ruin your potential to get the top pick, lose all the games you need to lose, have a whole old lose fest. But with that, I don't see why we care about Kyler Murray, his fantasy value this year. I don't care about his fantasy value. Here's a smart move. If you want to draft him and then stash him on the IL, then you can go pick somebody up. That's a smart move, because then if it does work out, that's great. But there are quarterbacks in the late teens that I think are phenomenal. I think Kenny Pickett's phenomenal this year. I think he's going to be slinging the ball, and that's quarterback 18, 19. Jordan Love looks pretty good. Stroud, young. I don't know what the value is on Kyler Murray right now, outside of him coming back and then being awesome with all those really great weapons of James Conner and Marquise Brown and Michael Wilson. I think he comes back, stash him on the IL, but I don't think it's anything crazy impactful. Andrew says, do I start Charbonnet I feel like we had this exact one, or Herbert as RB2? Went 0 RB, so I'm stacked at wide receiver. We both would say that's Herbert, right?
For
okay.
Sure.
Sayonara Sammy says Cam Akers, or Dameon Pierce, full PPR for week 1.
Oh man, it's not a fantastic matchup for Dameon Pierce. Two very similar guys. Honestly, off the top of my head, I cannot remember which one. I'm kind of curious. They're within 2 spots of each other. I have Cam Akers 2 spots ahead of them. Just barely.
And the week 1 ranks have Cam Akers 3 spots ahead of Dameon Pierce. I already kind of espoused how I feel about Cam Akers, so Dameon Pierce isn't going to help that. Plus, like Devin Singletary is not going to just sit on the bench the whole game. Like, he's going to be some role in this, and I don't think we just really know what that is yet. So if I have the option, I'll go with Cam Akers, who I feel a lot more confident about. Though I say that Dameon Pierce has 25 carries, Akers has 10, and Cameron Williams is the new guy, so that's how that works. Evan says, is Taysom Hill a legit streaming tight end option for week 1?
I would not do it.
No.
Maybe it feels enticing because of the matchup, which I theoretically get, but I wouldn't do it. I would do Juwan Johnson 10 out of 10 times above Taysom Hill in an actual tight end role. So
yeah, he was like the DeAndre Swift of tight ends. And it's like, the old school, like even like when Jamal Charles got like kind of bad, it's like, you're just like, it's all one play with Taysom Hill. It's like one play that's going to get you your entire week. There's just not volume there. So you could do it, but I think there are too many, as we said earlier in the show, there are too many good streaming options to put your tight end week on Taysom Hill. Like if we all of a sudden see he's going to start getting 4 or 5 catches a game, that's different. But I don't see where that's going to go. Too many cooks in the kitchen. Dustin said, I've got both P. Ryan and Javonte Williams. Bijan is my RB1. Who would you start week 1 as the RB2? So it's essentially which Denver back are you going with?
That one is tough because I again want some kind of indication in terms of what workload Javonte Williams will get. So maybe this will flip over the next few days if we get some kind of tip off from the media in terms of which way that it's leaning, and that would help me out. You might want to err on the safe side of going with P. Ryan over him. I don't, Bijan's your RB1, so you've got locked in volume there. And if you want to be safer with your RB2, P. Ryan is probably the safer option to go with.
Yeah, I think Tara said that fantastic. If you want the safe option, P. Ryan, if you want to play for the moon and you want to shoot it up a little bit, you go Javonte Williams. If Javonte Williams is back to 90% of who he was before, this is a slam dunk. But we know P. Ryan's going to get work. They're not going to go 28 carries or 30 touches on Javonte Williams week 1 coming off of all this injury stuff. There's just no chance. So P. Ryan is a safe option if you want to be assured volume early on. And then also, like, don't go cut Javonte Williams when, P. Ryan gets 80% of the work or anything. Just hopefully you guys prepared for that. Johnny says, Christian Watson trade for Akers or Madison full PPR? Or I'd say don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, if you were like absolutely desperate for a running back, I can see that, but I would prefer to have Christian Watson.
Yeah, I would not do that. I'm so big on Christian Watson this year. I think he's going to be a volume hog for Jordan. Jordan Love just looked better in the preseason. He is the number 1 wide receiver. Like, why? Now, why would be you absolutely stink at running back and you've got all these awesome wide receivers. So if you did, I'm going to go Akers. You can go Madison. I feel like I don't trust Tara. I felt like you were leaning. Are you Madison over Akers if you had to pick one of those two?
Just a little bit. A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think they're like right there. What was, let's look at what Madison is 19. Madison is 19 for week 1. Akers is 18 on, I'm looking at half PPR Fantasy Pros week 1 consensus ranks. So it doesn't really help you on splitting it. I would say Akers, but the only reason I would do that is like, I'm so desperate because I screwed up at running back, but like Watson is the answer here.
Yeah.
Brosy Brosum says, hey y'all, would you trade Dalvin Cook and AJ Dillon for Jahmyr Gibbs in a non-PPR league? That is the wrinkle, because I was about to just yell and move on, but non-PPR, Tara. So AJ Dillon in those touchdowns and Dalvin Cook for that matter, or Gibbs without the receptions.
That does throw a little bit of a wrinkle into it, but you could get the touchdowns via receptions as well with Gibbs. So if you're looking at the pass, now granted, Dalvin Cook's pass, we can't really, base a lot of that off of. But if you're looking at the pass rushing touchdowns for AJ Dillon, it's possible that Gibbs can get in that area if you combine rushing touchdowns and receiving touchdowns. So I still think I would lean towards Gibbs on this one.
Okay, so I'm gonna have a logical answer and then a not popular answer. The logic here is don't do anything, because I can't imagine Gibbs goes to a level where he hurts this trade from happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to be bad. And even if he's bad enough, like, are you going to cry that you didn't get AJ Dillon and Dalvin Cook? No. But I can't imagine he does anything that the guy is like, I got to pull the trade off. Let's see what happens. Let's see who he is on Thursday Night Football. And then if he's amazing, guess what? You laugh at this guy and you get more. The unpopular portion of this is to say, to be honest with you, in a non-PPR, like, I think AJ Dillon is a lot closer to Gibbs, because AJ Dillon's going to get plenty of run and is going to have as much, if not a little bit higher of a upside. And then maybe Dalvin Cook does do something this year. I want the best player. I think Gibbs is the best player here. Yeah. So it's closer if you needed the depth, though Dalvin Cook isn't the second piece of depth. But the better answer is, like, don't do this and build up his value if he goes off this week. And I think that's how I would approach it. Ty says, do I play Marvin Mims over Mike Evans, half PPR?
No, I would still stick with Mike Evans, although it, again, the Tampa Bay offense is potentially a giant mess, but you've got that same potential over there with Denver, and Mike Evans has the more proven track record and solidified spot in the lineup. So I'd still go with Mike Evans.
I would go with Mike Evans too. I want to remind you guys, if you guys tuned in late, two things. Sundays, 11 a.m., Tara and I, we are going to be doing this live stream, answering your questions just like this format, rapid fire, boom, we got everything to get you locked in. The other thing is, you guys are rock stars. I don't know what the watch or listener count is for this episode, but, like, I'm looking at the questions and we are within the first 15 minutes of the show questions, and we're 30 minutes behind on questions, if you understand how I'm saying that. So my tip is, get in early and get your questions in so we can make sure we answer them. We are going to do some rapid fire here shortly so we can get more, but you guys are rocking so hard that we have so many great questions. So I want to congratulate and give you guys all props, but maybe get in a little bit early so we can get to those questions. You can do that 11 a.m. Eastern on Sundays with Tara and I, and there's a 10 a.m. stream before us, and then a little bit of betting right after. So we are the meat to the Fantasy Pros, Betting Pros Sunday sandwich. So come and hang out with us. All right, we'll go a little bit more rapid fire here. Brandon, PPR, trade Kupp for Josh Jacobs and Drake London.
Oh, man. Yeah, I would do that.
Nope, I'm doing that. I am definitely doing that. That's you're getting a theoretical, like, number one, like, first round player in Josh Jacobs, and then you're getting London. Yeah. You got to do that. I know it hurts, but you got to do that. Shane says Zay Flowers or Elijah Moore PPR this week.
Zay Flowers for me.
Also Zay. He's wide receiver one. So the Rock Weller says DJ Moore or David Montgomery for flex and a 10-team half PPR. This is DJ Moore. This is easy DJ Moore.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is, yeah.
I'm actually really excited to see DJ Moore this weekend to see how he goes. Like, we saw those moments in Carolina, and if we get to see those consistently, I actually just did one of those, I don't want to say the site and ruin any sponsorships, but, we have where you pick the players and you put them together in a big thing. I did a season long one, and DJ Moore was one of my guys that I put in there. I think the season prop was like 800 yards or 850 receiving yards. Yeah. I just love DJ Moore this year. So that's an easy one for me. I can't even pronounce his name. Hollywood or Kadarius half PPR. It's got to be Hollywood. No Kadarius.
Hollywood, yeah.
Trip, Hopkins or Dotson over the full year in standard scoring, Tara?
Oh, that's spicy. That's spicy with standard. I'm still going to say Hopkins, but standard does make it spicy for Dotson.
The Titans quarterbacks are so garbage. They're so, like, how many touchdowns is that going to be? I would go Hopkins too, but you know what? We'll eat our words when Dotson. This is really close on full season when are really trying to focus on touchdowns here. It's just like when they get in the red zone, like, this is going to be Hopkins here. Let's see. Jennifer said start Connor or Akers at RB2. A lot of Akers questions.
I still prefer James Conner.
Ooh, I'm Akers. I'm so out on the Cardinals. Like I have zero share. Bogman, my buddy Bogman, he loved James Conner. I'm so out on every single Cardinal. Don't want him. Don't want Marquise Brown. Don't want James Conner. I get it. I get why you would do it this weekend. I'm Akers, and I might eat my words on that one. Let's see. Mr. Spig Nasty, full PPR week 1, Christian Kirk or Deontay Johnson?
Christian Kirk, I think we mentioned that matchup for Deontay going over the middle being a little potentially shaky there. So Christian Kirk.
Ooh, I'm going to go Deontay. Calvin and Ingram and Etienne. Like, I like Kirk. Here's what we know what Kirk's going to get. He's going to get 7 targets at least, and they're going to be within the 10 yards down the middle. So, like, what is that going to end up being? Like, you can almost count on like 11 or 12 full PPR points for him. Half PPR might be under 10. I just think the upside of Deontay Johnson's a little bit higher. Like I said, the secondary for the 49ers is like garbage. So no thanks. William says Tua or Goff week 1. This isn't quite the one that's going to make me angry. So Goff and Tua is a fine question.
It's Tua, although I do love Jared Goff this week.
It's always Tua. It's always Tua. All my investments, it's all Tua until he gets hurt. Will says better bench stash. If running backs and wide receivers are good, would you go with Rashad Penny or Jaden Reed with the Packers?
It's Jaden Reed for me. I feel very passionately about this one and the solidified role that he has within that Packers offense.
Nailed it. I'm complete agreement here. Jaden Reed, especially if you're talking about a bench stash. Penny is like, you get him out on your roster now because you've got running back problems, or you invested in rookies and you get whatever you can get until he gets hurt in week 3 and he's no longer around. And it's now we're talking about Kenny Gainwell. It's definitely Jaden Reed on this one. Who should I put in my flex from Nelson? Javonte Williams, Breece Hall, or Jahan Dotson?
You were going Jahan Dotson, as we're going to avoid the injured ones, and we're going Jahan Dotson. By the way, Chris, I feel like we are going to be super copacetic this season based off the way you've been answering these Packers questions. So, yeah.
I'm in with the Packers. I think you and I were in line. Like I said, we got the and the Twitter handles, and I think we're going to be good, and we're going to be teammates all season long on Sunday. Let's see. Dotson, Mike Williams, Gabe Davis start 2. So we're both going to say Dotson, but it's really come down to Mike Williams or Gabe Davis.
I feel like this might be just a really bad matchup for Gabe Davis, unfortunately. I'm in on Gabe Davis bounce back season, but I'm going to have to be in next week. I would go Mike Williams in this instance.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Either one doesn't the sauce is on Diggs, and maybe Davis is able to break out, but rookie wide receivers Quentin Johnson doesn't do a whole lot for me right now. So I'll go Mike Williams. I don't feel strong about that one, unfortunately. Oh my God. Every other question is Dotson. You guys are it is amazing. We got to have the theme of under the metadata for this stream. We're going to put Cam Akers, Dotson, and Skyy Moore, every other question. I don't blame you guys. It's great questions. It's I'm just laughing every time I see it. K-Peep says full PPR, pick one for flex. London, Sutton, or Dotson?
London and Dotson are pretty close for me. If we get an all good Terry McLaurin full snap count, I can lean towards London, but if not, Dotson.
I'm going to go Dotson. Yeah, you drafted Dotson as probably your wide receiver too. You might have done the same thing with London. You might have done the same thing with Dotson. Sutton's not really in that tier for me, so I will go there. Sorry, this one made me laugh. Someone said half PPR, Goff or Richardson, like it matters what the point per reception is. That just made me laugh. But it's a good question. I didn't even think about actually answering the question. I just was laughing at that. Goff, you'd said you like Goff. Would you pick him over Richardson?
I would, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. That was one of the ones I struggled with, but yes.
I'm going to go Richardson, but I don't like that. I'm not liking that one. All right, I'm moving down here. Ginger Print says Mims or Elijah Moore?
Elijah Moore.
I'm going to go also with Elijah Moore. I like that one. All right. It's okay to laugh. Week 1 tight end stream. Well, we kind of answered this. Juwan Johnson, Noah Gray, or field of low roster tight end. Juwan Johnson would be the guy. So sorry, I was working that one out in my brain here, trying to find ones we haven't answered. Bruce says Charbonnet, Gabe Davis, Deontay Johnson. Choose one for flex. Just because you haven't
This
liked
will be an
Deontay.
instance. Yeah, this will be an instance where I go Deontay.
Yeah,
I would prefer to
completely
have him
agree
over
here.
Gabe.
Austin says Khalil Herbert or Antonio Gibson this week. I like that one.
I do too. Just because I feel like against Arizona, like that matchup is screaming the running backs for Washington are going to have a little bit of a field. They're going to get up and just like run the ball and it's going to be okay and they can win that way. I still lean towards Khalil Herbert, but I don't dislike Gibson this week.
I'm trying to look here, see if I can freaking find it. Herbert is 28 on half PPR week 1 ranks. Brian Robinson is actually ranked above both of these guys, and Gibson is 33. So if that gives you guys perspective, it's not going to change how I view this as Khalil Herbert. Like I told you before, Juwan Johnson, I don't think plays as big of a role as a lot of people might expect in week 1. I think Khalil Herbert's going to get a whole bunch of it. So I am definitely on Khalil Herbert's side. Let's see. Dominic says, what up, Welsh and Tara? Half PPR, who in the flex? Raheem Mostert, Zay Flowers, Sneeko Collins, or Marvin Mims? Thanks and love y'all. Thank you, Dominic. So we've got Zay. I'm going to do this. Let's eliminate Nico and Marvin Mims. You tell me if you feel differently. I say this comes down to Mostert or Zay Flowers in half PPR. So what say you? Or did we lose Tara? I think we lost. We have a really good still image, but I think we lost Tara. I heard a pop, by the way. Hopefully it wasn't like some power surge. So until we get Tara back on the great screenshot there, I am going to say, John, it's killing me. I'm going to go with Raheem Mostert here because he also can catch the ball out of the backfield. We talked about the A-chain stuff. So I'm going to go with Mostert, even though I think that's really close on Flowers. So I'm going to give you guys a couple others here. Luckily, we were right towards the end here. Omar says, hello, Tara and Chris. Start Swift or Brian Robinson as flex half PPR week 1. Oh, buddy. Brian Robinson's got a great matchup, like Tara had mentioned, but I'm all about that DeAndre Swift. I'm all about Swift going on. I don't know I'm going to see what the matchup is ranked right now because it's probably not as good. And I wanted to give you that reference because, it's not. Brian Robinson is like the clear front runner because of the matchup on here. But I forgot it's New England. I'm going to go with Swift still. I'm sorry. I'm going to stick with Swift. But Brian Robinson is the clear-cut person that everybody is going with. So just know that here. We'll do a couple more here as we've got a dual image of the rest of the baseballs, at least you guys can see in my good setup. And the questions, if you guys ever have, you can ask about the setup that I have here. Some of the bobbleheads. I got a little 49ers Frank Gore sitting right there, as well as some of the other 49ers ones that, when they lose this weekend, I will be very upset. We had, should I trade Stafford and Chris Godwin for Patrick Mahomes? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Take the best tiered quarterback that you have and run with it and be very happy. That's not good enough. Like Stafford's not good enough. Godwin's not even close to good enough. I know that's like a depth thing that you're going to get the extra depth. I can't imagine you need the wide receiver that much to take that big of a downgrade at quarterback. So hell no would be my answer. Pradeep says P. Ryan or Jalen Warren PPR. That is Samaje Perine, like we talked about. I don't know what Jalen Warren. Also, it's against the 49ers. Like, I can talk some crap about my own team, but the 49ers are not going to be giving up 200 plus rushing yards or 200 plus total yards to running backs in general. So I don't care if Bosa's not there. So absolutely not. Go with P. Ryan and feel good. Gabriel says start Deion Jackson at flex. Absolutely. That is a great one to bring up and probably going to be something we talk about on Sunday when we get back to this live stream at 11 a.m. Eastern. Is Deion Jackson is a super sneaky one. And he would be one of my suggestions. I did a show earlier this week with Jake Seeley, and that was his number one sleeper waiver wire running back. And I completely agree. He's going to get volume in this game. Moss is not going to be out there. Evan Hull didn't really impress that much. Deion Jackson is going to get run. So I think that is a super sneaky one. And let's look and see what the rank people have done. I'm going to do a search because I'll never find him. 45. I don't know, man. I'm looking here. Deion Jackson or Jerick McKinnon at 37. I would rather go Deion Jackson right now. I think I would go Deion Jackson over P. Ryan just because of what volume's going to be out there. So that's my answer. John, we got time for a couple more, right? We got time for just a couple more here. Okay, cool. We'll do a couple more. We've got Zay Flowers or JSN. Absolutely Flowers. Gabriel to go week 1. If this is a season-long thing, I actually might go JSN, but Zay Flowers for week 1 without question. Michael says full PPR, Connor or Najee. Najee, that's easy, Najee. Kevin, Javonte or Christian Watson PPR? Christian Watson, definitely Christian Watson. Andres, hi, Welsh and Tara, half PPR, 2 flex. I'm starting Mostert plus Dodson, sub any for Jamal Williams or Pittman. No, absolutely not. Pittman, maybe. Pittman is close, but I would rather go with the volume of Mostert and Dotson. Couple more. Inad said start Kadarius Toney or Hopkins Cooper. Amari Cooper, absolutely, over Kadarius Toney. We've got start 2.5 PPR, Madison, D-Hop, and Monty. I would go with Madison and D-Hop, my friend. Start Aaron Rodgers or Geno. I would actually go Geno, and that Geno's got a really good matchup. I'm trying to burn through these. Edward says, I have Gibbs and Montgomery. Keep both or trade one. If trade, who goes? Montgomery goes. Definitely Montgomery here. Should I start Odell Beckham or Kadarius Toney since he will be targeted more with Kelsey out? We don't know that he's going to be targeted more because Toney is on some type of pitch count. So I actually think Odell Beckham is a great play this week, and he's going to be one of those sneaky guys that's going to get out there. Let's go with 2 more here. Josh said, am I crazy for loving Aaron Jones this year? Only crazy in love. It's the only type of love, my friend. It's the only type of crazy I expect. I'm with you on that one. And then finally, I'm going to scroll down to like a newer one. Akers or Pacheco in flex full PPR? Akers. How appropriate to end with Akers here with the receptions. Pacheco, I know he's healthy and stuff, but they might have to be passing the ball a little bit more with Jerick McKinnon. He might get involved. We might not have a full go Pacheco. They might not try to pound the ball as much, and they just have options. And also, it's a Chiefs week 1. All of a sudden, Clyde Edwards-Helaire could get 12 carries. So if I have that option, I'm going to go with Akers. And I think the week 1 rankers kind of agree with that in general, as we've mentioned 20 times that Akers is at 18 and Pacheco is down here at 24. So he's just right there as the RB2. We did it. We got a decent amount. We did lose Tara in the process. Probably going to answer a few more Skyy Moore and Cam Akers questions. But Tara will be back with us again on Sunday. So you guys, what you can do is make sure you're locked in, subscribe, hit the notification if you want to, like this video, and all the comments that you did are going to get you entered into these contests. I think on the scroll bar to my left, as you guys are watching, we've had some of the different contests. If I saw correctly, John, was there AJ Brown? Yeah, there you go, right there. I guess it's a Betting Pros one, but on Betting Pros and Fantasy Pros, they've got awesome contests. So make sure you're subscribed, make a comment, and you can get entered in to win, just like we had today with, with Dakota Hayes. Dakota Hayes won that Odell Beckham jersey. You could win something awesome as well. But if you're subscribed, you guys will be notified 10 a.m. Eastern. We've got show number 1. Tara and I will be up at 11, and then we've got some betting talk going over on Betting Pros at noon Eastern. So make sure you guys are locked there. It's Tara time. Make sure she's okay. Go tweet. Make sure Tara's okay. You can find me at Is It The Welsh. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to talk to you guys on Sunday, and we'll talk to you right here on the Fantasy Pros live stream on YouTube. Goodbye for now, friends. Peace.